Welcome back to the Dividend Diplomats YouTube channel, everyone. You got Big L Lanny, you got Bert the Herd here, the Dividend Diplomats. We are putting two Dividend Kings in the ring, facing off head to head today. We cannot wait for this dividend stock analysis.
You guys know the drill. We need all 7,900 plus to smash that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up on this video. We are diving into two iconic, legendary dividend growth stocks that have increased their dividend for over 50 plus years.
And why are we focusing on these two dividend stocks? Because we are always on the hunt to add the best undervalued dividend growth stocks to your portfolio. Both of these companies can be found in almost every single dividend investor's portfolio. And not only that, in every single dividend ETF, mutual fund, and any other way out there, these two companies play a major role in the investing world. So we want to talk to them and take a deep dive into the metrics and compare them head to head to see if one of them comes out on top and is going to win that King of the Ring title.
Exactly. King of the Ring, the money in the bank, two dividend stocks have been around for a long time. In fact, talk to your parents and your grandparents, and they may have even owned this stock. You know, as the stock market, specifically the S&P 500, almost has already hit 4,300. You know, it's hard to find dividend and growth stocks out there that are undervalued. But we also do like to invest into, dividend stocks. Some of them may even be on our top 5 foundation stock list for your portfolio. And, the name of the game is to continue to acquire assets that produce income for you. And these two dividend stocks continue to do that year after year. And, one of them this year even had a surprise well above expectations on the dividend increase front. And I know Bert loves both of these companies. I really do as well. We both actually have each of them in our portfolios respectively. We want to help you, the viewer and investor out there, kind of refocus, retool, stay calm, and invest on, that there are stocks out there to buy during this market. And that's what we're here to help kind of bring you back, to earth, to say, hey, it's okay, and we'll get there together.
Yep, exactly, Lanny. So what we're going to do within this video is we're going to talk about the two companies. They're both in a sector where they have very strong brands. So we're going to kind of talk through their brand portfolios for each one of them. Then we're going to run them through the Dividend Diplomats dividend stock screener and compare them with the 3 metrics of our stock screener, which are the PE ratio less than the S&P 500, dividend payout ratio less than 60%, history of increasing dividends, and we'll even talk about the dividend yield. And then lastly, as Lanny said, they both had recent dividend increases, so we'll compare the 2 recent dividend increases head to head. So it should be a fun video. We're getting excited. I'm sure all of you are pretty pumped up to hear about which these two companies are. So everybody, what do you think? Should we get started? What are you thinking?
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's cue the entrance music for this first one, Lanny. You want to talk about the first company?
All right. Well, first, the 2 companies here that we're going to put head to head. It's going to be Procter Gamble and Johnson & Johnson, 2 of the most beloved dividend growth stocks out there. You definitely want to see all the stats as we put them through the Dividend Diplomat stock screener. For those of you that don't know Procter & Gamble, as much or as well, they own big brands, from baby care up to, other hygiene and oral care products, and you name it. They have your Loves, your Pampers, I don't know, Bert, Tide with Bleach, Gain, Bounty, Charmin.
Yeah.
Probably that I'm not even naming, Gillette.
Oh, for sure. We'll have a nice graphic up here too, showing you all the brands, because there are just so many great consumer brands that Procter & Gamble owns that can be found in every room of your household. It's insane. That's why we love this company.
Every room, the bathroom, your closet, your basement. Okay.
No, you're not wrong though. That's the thing. Like, you are not wrong in saying that. That's why you like consumer staple stocks like PG and JNJ.
Exactly. And JNJ, I mean, Bert, you can list off a few products.
Yeah.
The COVID one-shot vaccine that is now back out there.
Yeah, I mean, they will crush it in the baby sector. They got those Aveeno babies, and you go into the bathroom, into your medicine cabinet, you got Tylenol, Zyrtec, Benadryl, Band-Aid, Bengay. I'm sure I'm repeating some of them, Neosporin, Desitin. And you can just name the list off. I mean, that's what's cool. Johnson & Johnson has a little bit more of the healthcare focus. Procter & Gamble has a heavier focus in the cleaning sector, but both of them play such an important role in our lives. And that's why both of them have the best brands out there and why they are in our top 5 foundation dividend stock list, because of that strong brand presence.
And guys, these are stocks that you do want to literally buy and hold forever. I know Bert probably owns for 5, 7+ years. I know I'm probably going on almost 10 years as well owning them. No plans to ever sell these two beloved dividend growth stocks because they continue to increase that income stream year after year. And yeah, Bert, I kind of talk a little bit about the 2 increases on both of them.
Yeah, sure. We'll move this one up front here. I think Lanny teased at the beginning of this that one of the companies had a shocking dividend increase. Procter & Gamble over the last few years had started to get the reputation of lower dividend growth. The dividend growth was slowing from where it was historically. In fact, I believe going into it, their 5-year average dividend growth rate was just around 4%. So things were trending in the wrong direction. And out of nowhere, they pump out a 10% dividend increase. That's a banger right there, Lanny, if I've ever heard of one. But
Procter & Gamble is cooking.
Yeah, that was a huge increase. I mean, obviously, strong results last year with everyone stockpiling all of these cleaning supplies during the pandemic. We had saw that dividend growth is back, and we've been demonstrating over the last 6 months how dividend stocks continue to bring back large dividend increases. Then out of nowhere, Procter & Gamble just dropped this 10% increase, more than double their 5-year average. It was absolute insanity for us Procter & Gamble shareholders.
That's right. I mean, I couldn't agree more with you, Bird. And, then shortly after, even amongst the COVID-19 off the shelf, news about Johnson & Johnson, again, ticker symbol J&J, they still came out with a little bit below their average, but a 5% dividend growth this year. So solid, but obviously, kind of wanted a little bit more maybe from J&J.
And what hurt was Procter & Gamble went first, and you saw this strong increase from P&G, and you're like, uh-oh, does this mean something big's coming here from J&J? Do they have a 10% one in their pocket? And they didn't. They only had a 5%. But it's okay. It still beats inflation. Still beats a lot of the other pieces too.
It's like when you're trying to get a hot cup of coffee and you realize it's lukewarm.
Yeah, that is the worst. Yeah, when your coffee cools down. Exactly. I'm with you. So obviously with that, Procter & Gamble crushed it with the increase. We're still happy with J&J, but not as much as Procter & Gamble. I think it's time for us to start running through the metrics and compare them head to head to see if one is more undervalued than the other today, since they both have those strong brands and have those nice dividend increases.
So it's time to look at the dividend stock metrics from Procter & Gamble to start. At the close of business, which is what we're using as of May 7th, Procter & Gamble was trading at $135.11. Earnings per share projected right now is $5.63. So you do the math as we look at the price to earnings ratio, which again is the ratio to help look at if it's undervalued. That PE ratio is at 24 times forward earnings, which, the S&P is currently trading at about 40 plus, times earnings, and their projection is into the 20s as well. Mm-hmm. So, there could be better value out there, but Procter & Gamble is still a solid company. Or what does the payout ratio look like right now for Procter?
Their payout ratio, their annual dividend after that increase is $3.48 annually. So you divide that by the EPS of 563 that Laney just talked about. That gives you a dividend payout ratio of just under 62%. So just a hair above our 60% threshold, but we assess dividend safety with this metric. So we use 60% because that still gives you plenty of room to keep increasing without reaching that dreaded 100% ratio that may be indicative of a dividend cut. Yes, 62% is above our threshold, but I am not worried at all about the company's dividend because I think it is safe, even though it's 2% above our threshold. There's a lot of room left before it hits 100.
Yeah, not worried about any cut or stalling the dividend, but yeah, I mean, it just may mean that growth may be smaller potentially, but we were surprised obviously with the 10% banger.
Yeah, clearly management disagrees because they just announced that they were really that concerned about growth of earnings and future growth of dividend. They would not have announced a 10% dividend increase.
Speaking of growth of dividend, how many years have they been doing it, Bert? What's now, they have
that dividend king status, as we mentioned earlier, which is a company increasing its dividend for 50 plus consecutive years. PG is one of the longest tenured dividend kings on top of that, and they have increased their dividend for 67 consecutive years, which is absolute insanity.
almost how old I am.
Not quite. You wish you were that. I'm kidding. But no, that's we both have way too much pepper in our hair for us to be 67. But
Right. And then Bert, that bonus metric for the dividend yield at the
yeah,
time of this, yeah, it's a little under 2.6%, 2.58, not bad. Above the average market, above your savings account rate. So, again, Procter holding steady at over 2.5% on the yield.
yep. So just before we dive into J&J, quick summary: PE ratio 24, payout ratio 62%, 5-year average dividend growth rate 4%, 67 years of increasing their dividend consecutively, and a dividend yield of 2.58%, just under 2.6%.
I love it. And Bert, because this is your new strategy week after week for Johnson and Johnson, I think you should really lead this Dividend King off with their stock metrics.
Yep, let's do it. And what Lanny's referencing, we'll put a link to the video up here where I talk about it. And we can even put an article to our blog article about this in the description below too. Lanny kicked off a weekly VYM purchase last year. Then this year I decided to follow suit, even though I hadn't, and start investing, buying 1 share of Johnson & Johnson every week with my wife. And we sprinkled some extra purchases in there too. So we've been happy to add this Dividend King, and why I'm so excited to talk about this video and see just how undervalued Johnson & Johnson still is 2 months after we started that strategy. So as of 5/7/21, Johnson & Johnson's price is 168.50. Man, that's climbing. It's getting close to 170. Their forward EPS is $9.53 per share. That gives you a PE ratio of 17.68.
Wow, definitely better than Procter and Gamble there. Below the forward S&P 500, price to earnings ratio. It's funny, every now and again I'll message Bert like, hey, if I see Jay going below 164, 163, I'm like, J&J, check it out.
Yeah.
Just if he wants to grab him and his wife another share or two.
Usually I do every time because it's undervalued clearly at 168. So why wouldn't I grab it in the low 160s or where other places where it's showing signs of undervalue?
Clearly, I just delete the text and don't think about it.
Yeah, exactly. So moving into that setting of metric, their annual dividend of that increase is $4.24. Divide that by the forward earnings, that gives you a payout ratio of 44.5%. So right in that perfect dividend payout ratio range of 40 to 60%. That is a huge check mark here for Johnson & Johnson. Fantastic stuff.
Beautiful. And I mean, going into the third dividend stock metric of the dividend growth, again, they're a dividend king. So, they already have 50 plus years. And in fact, they have 58 plus years of consecutively increasing their dividend at an average dividend growth rate of over 6.1%, which is so solid. Again, they're called good old reliable. And even though 5% was slightly below, they're not too far from that 5-year average, which is what's really nice about them. And then for that bonus metric, again, kind of like Procter, they still are hanging around that 2.5+% dividend yield right now on J&J.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's not the highest yield, obviously, but at some point, I don't look at yield first when I'm buying. I look at to make sure they check all the other metrics, and I'm happy to see they're at least above all the funds that we could buy as an alternative. So very exciting. Another company, right in line with PG, J&J head to head there. So to summarize J&J's metrics here, P ratio of 17.68, payout ratio of 44.5, 5-year average growth rate of 6.14. They've increased that dividend for 58 consecutive years. Then that Dividend King status, and their dividend yield is 2.52%.
Just again, very comparable to Procter and Gamble.
Yeah.
The only thing they really, but J&J has better metrics right now. PE ratio, payout ratio, 5-year average growth rate. I mean, what do you think, Bert?
I think we were both about to arrive at the exact same conclusion about which one of these two Dividend Kings comes out on top. You're right. I mean, the metrics speak for themselves. We both know they're great companies, but how can you argue that J&J isn't a better undervalued dividend stock to buy today based on the metrics?
In the words of Jay-Z, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. And here, not that Procter and Gamble is a bad dividend stock to buy. You can't really, you'd be happy 10 years if you bought it today. But J&J right now, if you had to pick between the two, J&J, dividend diplomats are here saying it. J&J has better dividend stock metrics.
Exactly. So let us know in the comment section, everybody, which one of these two do you think has the better dividend metrics? Do you agree with both of us saying that J&J is on top? Or are you going to throw us the curveball, try and counterpunch us and tell us that Procter & Gamble is that better dividend stock to buy? Be careful when you step in the ring, though, because we're going to come with the heat in the comment section if you start trying to disagree with us, because we love a nice debate. Nothing makes us happier than a debate in our comment section.
Just because I have to. Now you listen up, brother. Smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up for Bert the Hurt and Big Al, because we are almost at 10,000 subscribers. We cannot wait. We are ready. We are juiced up. We're getting the baby oil on. We're getting ready to get the WWE, impersonations down. So again, we can't wait to hear your comments and to, respond back and create that dialogue. For any final parting words?
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, guys, this is Bert the Hurt and Laney from the Dividend Diplomats. Over and out.